Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar, Hybrid Cloud Management and Security. My name is Karen Shalda, and I will be moderating today's session. Before we get started, there's just a few housekeeping items to address. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available to you after the session. You'll be taking questions at the end, but if you think of any questions during the presentation, please enter them in the question box, and we will be sure to address them during the Q&A session. Any additional information can be found at cortexservices.com.
All right, thanks, Karen. So hello, everybody. Thanks for joining today for the webinar. We're going to go over the hybrid cloud management security. It's focusing on the Microsoft Operations Management Suite and how that can help your organizations with that. So to start off, my name is Chris Shalda. I am a Microsoft Solutions Architect with Cortex Services. We're an IT consulting company and provide managed solutions as well to customers across the nation in various different verticals, segments, and sizes. We focus on a lot of different technologies, Microsoft being one of them, and we also do data center virtualization, and we're getting very heavy into the Azure world as well. So today we're focusing on the on OMS and some of the solutions that brings to the table. A little background on myself. I've been with Cortex for almost 10 years now. Started really in consulting and started kind of small, medium business support, moving upwards quickly to medium-sized into larger-size organizations and doing a lot of enterprise consulting work there. Focus a lot on Azure, Office 365, enterprise mobility and security, Windows 10 migrations, System Center, core infrastructure, AD migrations, so kind of run the gamut there. I've become the Microsoft Solutions Architect just recently, and last year really taken on this role where I'm talking with a lot of customers on the technical side and the business side, kind of bring those together of solutions where holistically bring technology together to improve businesses, processes, profitability, security, productivity as well. So I have a lot of fun doing that and talk to a lot of customers these days, so I have a lot of good insights about these new technologies, and I'm able to keep up with a lot of this as well in my new position, so it's a lot of fun. All right, so I'll get started here. So from the agenda point of view, I'm going to kind of go into an intro to general what is hybrid cloud management and security and what are some of the challenges today. Talk a little bit about business continuity, as that'll tie in a little bit later on to some of the solutions I'll be bringing up. And then getting into Microsoft OMS, the Operations Management Suite, what it is, what it entails, get into what the licensing looks like for that, how Cortex can help you along your journey here. We'll then get to the question and answer section and just give you a way to contact us as well. This is going to be the first of, I'm thinking, probably a 5-part series because there's so much content to go through. This first one is going to be an overview of all the different, as Microsoft calls them, pillars of OMS. And I believe each of the 4 pillars are going to get their own special webinar where we'll do a lot more deep dive, demo type. I'll show you guys some demos, that type of thing. So be on the lookout for those invites as well, and they'll have a little information at the end about that. So getting into the introduction here. The idea is Microsoft has been thinking about ways to accelerate the transition of the world's IT to modern cloud management. And really because it's coming faster, more innovative, and providing higher customer value, there's a lot of great things about moving to the cloud where it can reduce overall costs and operations and increase profitability and production. So they've created some tools around how to help customers get there. But this day and age, there's really a lot of pressure in the world of what we call traditional IT, where I'm sure many of you have experienced this, where there's a lot of the total IT spending is either outside of the formal IT organization, and as well, a lot of the costs or a lot of the budgets are shrinking as well for the same amount of work you need to get done. And by 2018, enterprises will own only half of the world's server computing capacity. So what that means is that this shift to the cloud, where the servers used to just reside in your own data centers, is now shifting to large providers like Microsoft that are purchasing and setting up these servers and making them available to customers across the world. And customers are starting to migrate their workloads and start to create new workloads in the cloud. So this is just changing. It's a changing landscape. So definitely an exciting time, and just need to understand kind of where that's going and how to address that and how to make the business better and how to kind of, help your career out as well and getting on this new trend that I don't think it's a trend actually. I think it's going to be coming and going for a while here. And the pressure that's really driving the change that we see is with businesses, business side of organizations really want to innovate and do things differently and better and optimize. So there's a lot of turbulence there. But then on the other side, IT needs to maintain stability, predictability, and security and all of the manageability as well. So there's typically this kind of push and pull situation here. And so there's this velocity, there's added complexity, added costs, all these extra processes now that's just more difficult to maintain and manage, and in general, it starts costing more from an operations standpoint. So now we're straddling these two worlds where you have this traditional data center where you have all your servers that you can get to, and they're very tight coupling between that infrastructure that you have and all the applications, but they can be really expensive. Capital costs it's pretty big expenditure for all those servers and maintaining all those. A lot of that's siloed from an infrastructure and operations standpoint, not very flexible from that. It's very highly customized from the processes and configurations, so it can be a little bit inflexible from that point of view of getting new workloads moving, new processes, and maintaining, managing all of those. So now we have the cloud model, and now the developers have this critical role in the business to innovate quickly and help the business out. And we're seeing things like microservices, modern apps. Now those have new complexities because the traditional management tools just don't have a really good grasp on how to keep those up and running and monitored and managed. And the server is no longer the center point. It's all these services. And application data now is turning into that business data. So we're seeing organizations make some modern IT investments, and Microsoft is tracking with this and making sure that customers have what they need to continue to run their business and innovate. So you'll see here kind of on this little circle here, you got to have all these pieces. You got to be able to secure your data, be able to govern your data, build quickly, configure all of your workloads and applications, monitor everything, protect as well. And this is one, these are all just pieces of a puzzle that you have to consider. So Microsoft, hopefully you'll see by the time we're done today, where Microsoft has made some investments in helping in all of these areas. So some of these things from the shifting investment standpoint of where I see businesses wanting to get to is they want to have more speed, want to get up quicker, troubleshoot faster, be able to innovate real time without having to wait to put in a rec for new servers and wait 6 months, and then that idea they had doesn't make sense to even invest in anymore type of thing. So there's that piece, the flexibility to be able to continue using the same tools that you already have, but add on other custom solutions and be able to understand the bunch of data that you're getting back from all these new solutions, and be able to straddle both that traditional and modern cloud perspective without having to change everything that you do today, but kind of just adapt it to where things are going. And then as well, simplicity, right? Simplicity is key in terms of you want to reduce complexity so that you reduce operations, you reduce support calls, and reduce downtime in general, and it kind of makes everybody's life a lot easier if you have that type of simplicity. So I want to touch on business continuity just as a high level here. This is a big driver for a lot of organizations, and unfortunately, still in this traditional world, there's so many organizations that either do not have disaster recovery solutions, business continuity, or maybe they do, but they haven't even tested it, which there's reasons why. It can be really expensive to test it. You got to take down everything. It takes a while to get everything back to normal operations. A lot of organizations are just running 24/7, and you can't take down all the infrastructure. So that's one of those things that this is a big, big deal, and the more we rely on technology and on our servers and applications and business data, the more that DR is just critically important, because if you do not have a good DR plan that's tested and just have a good process, if something goes wrong, it could be the end of your business or just take a really huge hit. So some of the challenges that we see from that traditional infrastructure is there's too many complications. You see problems and mistakes with the processes. You either have way too much data or not enough protection of that data, not enough data retention, and depending on your industry, you might have to have a lot because of the compliance regulations requirements that you have. And time-intensive media management. Oh my gosh, tapes. There's still organizations with tapes out there, and if you are one of them, I'm sorry, but there is some way you can get past that. That just takes a lot of time, and they're just not. It's not easy to get everything backed up and taken off site. And if you had to do DR, it just takes a very long time to get that back and running. And the untested DR, right? And decreasing recovery confidence of organizations that they don't believe that if they had a disaster that they actually would be able to recover in time. And then the increasing costs as data grows, and all these other complexities and more systems, it just seemingly costs more and more. So hopefully you'll see, and we're going to dive into this in a separate session later on, but where you can bypass these obstacles. The key is to automate everything as much as possible, have this tighter integration, increase all of the continuity protection across all of your workloads and applications, eliminate tape management altogether. No more tapes, please. And implement testable solutions so you can test with failovers and be confident in that. And then you achieve the cost and operation stability as well for that. So a couple terms I think we're going to touch on real quick is, if not aware, RPO is recovery point objective. So that's kind of how much data loss is tolerable. So how far back, if you had a disaster, can you tolerate going back? Can you go back only 5 minutes? Is it okay to go back an hour, 6 hours, that type of thing? That's a major key point that through these solutions you have to start thinking about. And RTL, recovery time objective. So once a disaster happens, how long does it take for you to get back to running in a production state? So this leads us into Operations Management Suite, also known as OMS. So this is a cloud solution offering from Microsoft, and we're going to kind of touch on a little bit of history around management in general of systems, and then show how OMS plugs in. So to show you kind of an evolution of your management tools, we started in the LAN era, where we solved those simple file and printer sharing issues and brought it together with client-server applications, and we went to an enterprise era where we started having wide area networks and more complex infrastructures became the norm. You had modern desktops and servers, that type of thing, and then virtualization really started to come at the tail end of that. And now with virtualization and the proliferation of the internet, it's brought in this thing called, as you probably know, the cloud era, where everything can be delivered as a service. So getting to what you need to anywhere, anytime, having high availability, having the scale of the cloud of like nearly limitless scale, and very quick ability to stand new workloads up and applications. So we started here with, does anybody remember having to log into a console to see if you had events? There's a time when administrators had to do that sort of manual tasks, or they had checklists to review every day in that LAN era. So that's kind of where we started. But as we grew our organizations and more servers and more applications, it just became more arduous to do that. So we started seeing organizations then do simple actions like automating a simple restart of a service, maybe fire off a trouble ticket. SCOM and SCCM were good tools here. And you started using like remote management tools. But now we have the opportunity, let's say, is to really take advantage of this full-scale movement to the cloud, because we're starting to lose the ability to really get insights into all of our applications, all of our servers, and especially, a lot of times we didn't even have it for non-Windows platforms. We're starting to see that a lot more too. So we should start seeing the benefits of having all this data as well, to even further give us more information about how to manage, maintain our systems. So with OMS, you can manage any instance in any cloud, including on-premises, Azure, AWS, Windows Server, Linux, VMware, and OpenStack. It can be domain joined or non-domain joined Windows Server. I mean, anywhere, any cloud. So, like we were talking about before, some of the challenges, but why OMS? Because it really does address a lot of these challenges with simplicity of giving you a single portal for everything to do with management and seeing all your logging and dashboards, and there's no infrastructure to maintain. The time to value is so quick. You can get this up and running very quickly and get some value out of it immediately. Very easy to integrate with existing management tools within really minutes, especially if you have tools like System Center Operations Manager and some other System Center tools, and it really complements them. It's not necessarily going to be like a replacement for System Center, but it will augment and make it better. Either on their own is good, but together I see them being better. So the solutions can be broken out into pretty much 4 different categories here. They call them pillars from Microsoft here. We're going to dive in a little bit here, kind of touch on a little bit of each of these pillars, and then on each of the webinars, like I said, in the series, we'll dive in deeper in each one. So log analytics is the first one, and that's really just giving you visibility across both your on-prem and in the cloud, all of your workloads in your enterprise. Automation, being able to orchestrate very complex activities or things that are fairly repetitive. Availability, so this is part of that DR situation and backups. Security as well. There's a lot of investments going into security, and I think not only from Microsoft here, but as well, organizations are spending a lot more money, and there's a lot more visibility on security because of a lot of the risks from modern threats these days. So this is kind of just an idea, just gives you a visual of how this looks from an OMS perspective. In the middle there that's the dashboard that you get. It's just a web dashboard you get from any browser. There's also a mobile app that you can use to get some of those highlights of that data, and that can connect to your on-premises data center with System Center, or there are some standalone agents as well if you don't have System Center, or public cloud, whether that's Azure or AWS or some private or hosted third-party cloud, right? So it's really ubiquitous across all of those clouds. So from a hybrid management standpoint, what is that, right? So it's really, the idea is that it's any cloud, any platform, right? So we've touched on that before, if it's Windows, Linux, Azure, AWS, and it works really well with System Center. Just adds a lot of value to that as well. So it gives you visibility. So this is when you're talking about insights and monitoring end-to-end of all of your workloads, applications, and even gets into logins and security as well as that. You can do some preemptive health checking, capacity management and usage tracking, and you get real-time alert management too. From a control standpoint, this is where a lot of the automation comes into play here, is you are able to do desired configuration management where you can say, I want my configuration to be this on this server, this group of servers, whether they're Windows, whether they're Linux. Having orchestration of workflows, and in general, just managing your service across the board and having automated actions take place if anything was to be triggered. From a protection standpoint, so having always-on backup and disaster recovery, having health monitoring happening continuously, and just everything being automated. Automated is going to be it's a big thing when you talk about cloud to really take advantage of the value of using cloud services. Automation is kind of the glue that holds a lot of that together and really adds value. And security, again, this is a big topic. I think 2017 is probably going to be the year of security, honestly. And this is a big part of it, where OMS comes into play, where you can have thorough systems health checkups, and you can still use your existing tools, right, to do patching or monitoring of those servers and doing some health checks, that type of thing. But with OMS, can do it across everything, that all of your infrastructure and services, and bring it into one kind of central location, and can work in conjunction with your existing security tools. And then you can also do some auditing and forensic analysis and breach analysis. You'll see a lot these days about what can you do about post-breach analysis, because you have to assume breach. This ties into that. And in general, it's application management, right? Because in the end, it's usually an application that you're providing to your end user, end customer, right? To either internal organization or to outside customers. And so you need to have real-time performance availability or visibility, be able to understand how your applications are interacting, what are all the pieces in place with all of them, so that you can quickly troubleshoot issues and understand, what faults are there and be able to analyze those quickly. So getting into the first pillar here, log analytics. This is really interesting. So the power of the cloud here I really see is that storage is cheap. It is super cheap when you're talking cloud, which is very different than on-prem, right? Because you need more storage on-prem where you have to do, okay, let's put in a rack and get another SAN and pre-purchase all of the storage, and it can be quite costly. It doesn't scale super well, and when you're talking cloud, storage is pennies per gigabyte. Honestly, it's just so cheap because of the economics of that. Like Microsoft can provide that at such a low cost. So what's interesting about that is that you can send all of your logs to Microsoft. Everything. You can grab them from your Windows servers, your Linux servers, your network appliances, your security appliances, everything. Azure has some other APIs, Office 365, Windows 10, everything can be pulled into there. And once you have it all in one place, you can run the analytics to automatically give you some insights on that data across everything, across every data center. So it's just very easy to collect this information. And the idea is that you can really separate the signal from the noise with the powerful log management tools here and search across multiple sources, multiple systems that are all in a single data store, big data store, and easily identify the root cause of operational issues as well. And from a capacity planning, deep visibility, you really can pinpoint capacity storages, investigate what-if scenarios, identify stale over-allocated virtual machines so that you can reduce costs, plan your future compute and storage needs for infrastructure. And then you can also offer pre-built rules, or this does offer pre-built rules and algorithms that perform initial analysis for you. But then you can also take that and customize it to meet your needs. And the idea is that this really accelerates the time to the first insights that you'll get from that data. So here's just a screenshot of the integrated search capabilities here. So the idea here is that you can query and filter all of the logs from one place and get some automated visualizations that are just built in, pivot around all of this data, and Microsoft does provide some common search queries to begin with, and it's kind of simplistic in terms of the query language here, as you'll see. I think we'll dig into that definitely in another webinar, but you can save your queries, you can reuse them, you can turn those into alerts. Very powerful. So collecting and storing and then analyzing this log data, you can know what has changed on your servers, so any configuration changes. So most issues that happen that take down a service or an application or cause a help desk call to get created is really because there's usually some sort of change, right? Whether that's a service that stopped, something got installed, a backup failed, it's like hung or something, some processes, taking up all the CPU, but some sort of change has taken place. So what this can do is, with OMS, because of all the information it's gathering, grabs all the changes that are happening across your environment. And then you can correlate that with the time frame and what else is happening to very quickly identify, operationally what's changed and how you can resolve that in a very quick manner. As well, you can quickly receive interactive results from that. So based off of the alert or the change, there's a lot of knowledge that knowledge-based articles and other knowledge that Microsoft then correlates with that and sends to you so that you have some actionable kind of intelligence, as if you will, to go ahead and resolve that quickly. And then you can also drill down into other areas of interest to see where else there might be some impact. So in general, just gives you a lot more proactive approach to not having to necessarily wait until you get that help desk call, but to maybe get notified or automate something before you get the help desk call to get ahead of it. And then you're also able to do a lot of customizations with visuals and thresholds, and just in general allow you to see the entire infrastructure within a single lens. So here's an idea of a custom dashboard it's really based off of all these queries of all the logs that you can do and build all these visualizations that are customizable to your organization and what's important to you. So it really allows you to quickly get some insights. I know that this has been really difficult with other systems, and I mean even specifically if any of you use System Center Operations Manager, building custom dashboards and solutions there, it's just, it can be done, but you gotta be pretty well versed to do that, and it can take a while, right? This is very simple to do, and really doesn't take much. It's just using a saved search, a custom search, and just turning into a visual. And then you can have one for you're part of the organization, one for the help desk, a knock, or maybe the manager, IT manager wants to see something differently, so you can have different custom dashboards. So that brings us to solution pack. So you can start off by just doing the custom dashboards just based off the searches, but where the real power here is, and where Microsoft is continually making more investments, are these solution packs. So what this does, these are really just a collection of the the logic visualizations and all this data, all these rules that is powered in the back end by the search, but makes it very easy to read. It brings information that's very important right to the surface, and they're already built for you. So a lot of these you can just literally just say add solution, you start collecting logs from number of servers, and you're getting immediate information. So a couple of them that are here, and we're going to go into some of the solution packs here a little bit more in depth. But you're able to, all these are clickable, so you can dig in deeper, get more detailed information by just kind of clicking down and drilling down into all these too. Very powerful. So here's a few of these that are important, I think, for everybody. Is alert management. This is a good one. This kind of works in conjunction with SCOM, and also works if you don't have SCOM. Right? So all the alerts that you set based off of any queries that you have, right? If you have some threshold set of, hey, if the servers hit over 90% CPU, if you have anything, services stopping, any of those configuration changes can raise alerts. There's a lot of intelligence built in already that has kind of a certain baseline of, Microsoft knows if this goes down, this is a bad thing, so an alert comes up. So already has some intelligence built into it. Think of it in some ways like a management pack in a way, but you can add more to it and make it customized and set your own thresholds for it as well. This is really cool. And so SQL Server assessment. Basically, you get the agent installed on your SQL servers, and it starts pulling information about the health, the configuration, any sort of performance issues with SQL. This is the type of thing that you would definitely need a very, very smart DBA to spend a lot of time gathering all this information, typically. Because I know some of these things you can get performance, right, from normal, traditional tools, and the service stops, okay, you get that as well. But this talks about other things with your configuration of, like, your temp DB is a little too small, you should increase the size of that, for example, or some sort of configuration within a database file is not optimal. This is what you should do, and here's why. So very interesting. Also has some security aspects in there too. And the AD assessment is similar to this as well. Again, well, this one specifically, the AD, is very hard to get this information otherwise without going in and really looking through AD. A lot of great recommendations out of that. All of it has knowledge base, like articles that are contextual and they send you to. So it's not just saying, hey, yeah, there's a problem, good luck. It actually, Microsoft helps you to understand what the issue might be, does that apply to you, and then how do you take steps to remediate. So really proactive. And change tracking, so we mentioned that before, so seeing all the different changes across your environment, and this could be also installed applications, uninstalled applications, those Windows service changes, really anything across your Windows and Linux side of the house that you might just want to know when something is changed, either proactively, or it's at least good to have it historically, where if you did have an issue at some point, you can go back and point to what the cause was for root cause analysis. All right, so let's get to automation here. So I see varying customers. Some have embraced automation and they're going full force with it. Others haven't really started getting there. So it's a very kind of stage. It's really a journey, right? You're not going to get to 100% automation out of the gate. It's something that it's a crawl, walk, run type of situation. You got to start small, find those low-hanging fruits, try to really have the simple type of automations, and then get to a little more complex and multifaceted automations and orchestrations. But the idea here is that you can really do everything from all your workloads and resources, creating them, or monitoring them, managing them, deploying them. And in the end, you're reducing errors and boosting efficiency, because why should you be doing manual, repetitive tasks where, whenever there's a human element, there's always a chance that something may not be done properly the same way every single time. If you create a runbook and orchestrate those types of activities, you can ensure consistency and reduce the errors. So especially in the cloud world, where you're able to quickly stand up new services and applications and other aspects, you should have a way that you can do that in a very consistent way, a very quick way, and ensure that it's going to be the same every time, right? So the idea here is that you can securely manage and monitor all those tasks that you need to be doing using a runbook. And this can be used across on-prem and cloud environments. This doesn't have to be just cloud. This can be done on-prem as well. There's actually they call it a hybrid worker role, where all the commands will be ran from a server on-prem. You can automate all these repetitive tasks with Azure Automation, really to start runbooks daily, hourly, a single point in the future, or based off of some sort of trigger. What's really nice too is that right within the console, there are a lot of already pre-made runbooks, sample runbooks, that you can start with and then modify to however you want to go and where you want to take it. So, oops, back on here. So that's really key, because I know me, I have a hard time starting from scratch, and it's nice to have a good starting point and just be able to say, okay, I see where they're going with this. Well, I want to modify this runbook and add this other capability onto it and make it a little bit more custom for my needs. And in general, you're able to see with dashboards and charts, just monitor the state of their runbooks and be able to troubleshoot any jobs that may not have worked properly. And so the idea is that you want to have a reliable, scalable platform service, right? And you need to be able to do orchestration for long-running processes as well. So with this automation runbooks, kind of this is the same idea as what we talked about before. This is ubiquitous. It works across Azure, Azure websites, virtual machines, storage, SQL Server, other popular Azure services, very seamlessly, just using the public internet APIs. And it's also very reliable because it efficiently handles all the processes that are going on in the runbooks. So it can create checkpoints to resume your workflow in case there's any unexpected errors or crashes, network issues, transient type of problems. You can protect your long-running and expensive tasks from unexpected interruptions, so you don't have to start them all over again. And then you also get some activity reports, so you can get emailed to you or just check the dashboard, that type of thing. Get a digest of all the reports daily if you wanted to. So here's what the automation dashboard looks like. You can see how there's, just very quickly shows how many runbooks you have are active, how many jobs were done, and all these give you a little bit of information. You can click into them. They'll take you right into the automation portal. So here's some scenarios to maybe start thinking about from an automation standpoint. Monitoring and remediation, that's a good, good basis, good place to start with from an automation scenario, where basically, let's say you automatically add new capacity based on policy. So with cloud services, if you have scalable infrastructure, the way it's set up, and you hit a certain capacity, well, stand up another VM so they can handle the capacity. And not only that, go the other way. Once you're oversubscribed, maybe start shutting down machines so that you're not incurring as much cost. Change control and provisioning here. So you can actually integrate with third-party change control systems, ITSMs. You can deploy applications from Git, run validation tests, swap for production if the test passes. So very quickly you can show either joining from dev and then go into ops. The whole DevOps idea of changing the environment very quickly and standing up new iterations without too much effort, but at the same time, making sure all those changes are being tracked with standard ITIL practices. Another one too is patching, updating, and backups. So you can patch now Azure VMs without any downtime at all. Basically being able to, with availability sets, orchestrate that patching, say, all right, server A, we're going to patch you, we're going to shut you down, but we're not going to patch server B until server A is back up, that type of thing. Backing up Azure VMs on a schedule or based on policy, that's also another key piece there too. So in the portal, so we saw before was a dashboard in the OMS dashboard, which kind of includes all those solutions, and then you would click in and get to the automation in the portal. You create automation accounts here, so these are the accounts that would actually be needing the rights to perform the tasks. So Windows account or a service account or a Linux account as well. And you create and manage your runbooks here. You can use, what's interesting, most people don't know, and a reason why most people really like Scorch, right, System Center Orchestrator on-prem, is that it's a very visual runbook editor. It's like it's Visio. You have workflows like flow charts, and you drag and drop and everything. And for a while with Azure, they were trying to say, no, you should go with Azure Automation. With Azure Automation, people are like, well, but it's all PowerShell workflows, and I don't know that scripting, and I don't know, I just like the graphical aspects. Well, the good news is that you can now do the graphical runbook editors. It's right in Azure, right in the Azure portal. So very powerful. You can do the PowerShell side of it as well. You don't have to use PowerShell workflows anymore. You can use standard PowerShell scripting. There's a lot of guidance right within the portal. And then you can test your runbooks and then publish them when you're ready. Create your schedules here, webhooks for runbooks, and then just manage all of your automation assets here too. So availability, this is a piece, I think availability out of all of these pieces of OMS is probably the biggest pillar in terms of driving people to start using OMS. A good starting point, which a lot of organizations see the availability aspects and say, wow, that's great, it's a great cost price point for it, adds a lot of value. And then they start looking at the other pieces and are like, wow, this as a whole is really a ton of value when you put it all together. But I really see a lot of organizations starting here, working with a lot right now with these aspects specifically. So that whole idea is that you're trying to ensure that you have the data integrity, right? So from any corruptions, any sort of issues, even let's say ransomware, you're getting where all your files get encrypted, you need to have a backup to get back to, unless you pay the ransom, of course. And making sure all your applications are available. And an application is not typically, it doesn't have to be just a single server. Sometimes it's multiple servers, multiple tiers that you have to ensure they're all up at the same time and running together. So orchestrating all that together, and this is where OMS comes into play, where it offers this really very affordable solution for business continuity and disaster recovery, which is really built upon the automation of all of this replication. Replicates your data center to Azure, or you can even go from one data center to another data center and orchestrate that replication as well. And this works along with Hyper-V. It works with VMware even, physical servers. It just works across, it's very ubiquitous. And also Azure VMs too. So you can get this across all of your organization, setting up the backups and the disaster recovery, integrate with cloud-based site recovery with existing SAN devices as well. So, and then it gives you the greater data security with encryption, and whether the data is at rest or moving toward a cloud-based security secondary site, everything is secured. So the idea here is that you really want to help, this helps eliminate the chance, really, of data loss in the case of a disaster. So with better recovery, points management, and very quick ability to get to do a failover, and really maximizing the uptime with that. So because you get continuous health monitoring of your protected instances, and whether those are remote or local servers. As well, it will work across all of your workloads, whether they're like Microsoft SharePoint, Exchange, SQL Server, files and folders, Windows servers, Windows clients, Azure, IaaS, virtual machines, Linux, and whatever hypervisor you're on as well. But it's really Hyper-V and VMware. So the idea is that you can eliminate the need to build and maintain a secondary DR site for DR. A lot of organizations may not have a secondary site, or if you do, it still is a lot of additional capital and expenditure of servers and equipment that's just sitting there doing nothing, just waiting for a disaster to happen. So with this, it's really, there's no additional infrastructure needed except for maybe a couple processing VMs on-prem to take all those changes, the block changes, and send them up to the cloud. The cool thing, though, I think one of the biggest values here is that you can do failover testing with zero impact to your production, because basically you flip the switch and say, I'm going to do a failover test. It isolates the environment in Azure, turns everything on. You can orchestrate every aspect of turning on all the servers and services, changing IPs, DNS, whatever you need to do, all orchestrated, and test it all. Make sure it all works. You can do that just to test your failovers. Maybe you want to test a patch or some other change to your environment without impacting production. You can do that as well. Cloud backup, this is another aspect, so the Azure backup, where basically remove the need for tape and have long-term storage and recovery of that data in the cloud, because, like I said earlier, cloud storage is cheap. So really utilize that. And it can even be individual agents on your VMs. It can be from a hypervisor standpoint, or there are some local appliances you can use. If you already have DPM, the Data Protection Manager from System Center, it will actually plug right into that and just add it as another destination for your long-term retention, and you're up and you're running. You can also set up another server on-prem if you want to have those really short-term, quick restores, and then all your long-term retention will be up in the cloud as well. So this is just an idea of what the backup and recovery dashboard looks like. So it gives you kind of a high-level view of what's happening, if there's any errors on the job statuses. And security. So this really helps you across all of your workloads, your servers, and even your users. Ensure that everything is secure, that you're mitigating threats, you're detecting threats if they're there, and being able to remediate quickly. You can do breach analysis with that, and cloud-based patch management for all your environments. So one of the big things here is you can identify all the missing system updates across all your data centers or in the public cloud as well, where you might have some sort of systems that are supposed to be patching all of your servers, and maybe they just lose sight of what servers that you have, or something's not in scope, or something's not getting updated from the catalog perspective. Well, this is another layer that can look at all of your servers, and from Microsoft's perspective, and even Linux as well too, what are the security updates and critical updates that everything should have, and it should match up with what you have on-prem. So just another layer of monitoring there. If you don't have some of those systems, and maybe you have non-domain joined Windows servers and you have Linux servers, well, how do you keep those patched? Well, this can also not only monitor which patches they need, but you can set up Runbooks to install those patches in an automated fashion right from OMS. And then collecting security-related events is really huge. So from either your Windows servers, any security appliances, that you can correlate all that information. Microsoft brings some context into there too, from like global malware attacks and different malware and attacks they found, and how to mitigate that, what the impact is. Gives you a lot of context with that. So this is a security and audit solution. This helps with your security posture at all. Gives you reduces the noise and gives you the notable issues kind of right up front, and just a summary of everything going on in your environment. This is very powerful. Malware assessment, again, kind of like the update assessment and monitoring. This looks for malware across your environment. I think this is mainly Windows right now. I think everything is kind of starting to get integrated more with Linux. I don't think, not necessarily 100% everything's there, but gosh, a lot of it is. I think the last stat I heard was in Azure, so more than 50%, maybe like 60% now, of new VMs created in Azure are Linux. It blows my mind. But Microsoft has really embraced that, really developers and all these applications, and they're playing nice with Linux. and actually adding a lot of value here too. Here's that system update assessment, so giving you an idea of how many servers are missing updates. You can drill in, see which ones they are, click a button, and automate installing those updates. So great, this information right at your fingertips. So OMS, great. Told me all about it, but how do you get started, right? Well, it's actually really simple. You can sign up for OMS really quickly. You just need to go to Microsoft.com/OMS, try for free. You just need a Microsoft account there. They create a workspace for you, and you're off and you're running. If you already have an Azure subscription, you can add it to your Azure subscription. There's a free trial, but honestly, it's like, I don't know, it's awesome that they give you a free trial for especially the log analytics and some of the other pieces, because it's not just like a short term time frame, like, oh, you got 30 days, then you got to buy it. No, it's unlimited. Now the key is, though, they'll only keep the data around for 7 days retention, and as you pay for the larger packages, you get more retention, like a month or a year of retention. And they'll only process 500 megabytes of data a day per server, I believe it is. So actually, no, for the entire trial, it's 500 megabytes a day. So with that, the cost in cloud for Microsoft really is the processing and analytics behind the scenes. So they said they'll only process the first 500 megabytes for free. You can change over to a paid version. All that data you had in the last 7 days, they'll go back and they'll churn through it for you so that you can get all that information. So very simple to get started and kind of dip your toe in there. And there's 3 ways to send data to OMS. So talked about before, it integrates really well with Operations Manager. You can use its exact same agent. You don't have to have a new agent on your devices if you already have the SCOM agent. It just is, it's kind of like a management pack, but it just pulls that data in and then sends it up to OMS for processing beyond what SCOM is able to do. You can also do OMS clients directly. So just install it in your VMs and you'll be off and running. And even through Azure storage accounts can be monitored. AWS storage can be too. The other thing too is really nice about the Azure side of things is it's really, while you create your VMs, you can put in some configuration for your OMS, what they call workspace, and it'll automatically, with every new VM, just get monitored and be added to your workspace so that you have automated that process and you don't have to manually add the agents or have an issue with, oops, I didn't add this into the monitoring and the log analytics. You can sign up for it in the Azure portal if you already have an Azure subscription here. You just go in and say you want to do log analytics and create a new workspace there, and they give you some of the options for the pay-as-you-go. This is just showing some, adding VMs, storage accounts. So you might be saying, okay, great, that sounds good. You said there's a free tier. It sounds like if there's something free, there's probably something you got to pay for. So let me just show you this real quick. They changed the licensing a bit this past October, and it is a lot more attractive. It used to be very complicated of how much data you're storing. It didn't depend on the number of servers, and it was just complicated, so many different meters. So they really simplified this. There's a couple ways you can go about this. You can go with the pay-as-you-go. You can use your Azure Monetary Commit if you have one, and do any of these separate. Right? So your Insight and Analytics, that's all your logging and the log analytics, automation and control, the orchestration, the security compliance, backup, site recovery. Each can be done separately. You pay as you go, however you're working with your Azure subscription. Now, when you purchase any of these from pay as you go, this is all per node, right? So each node would be licensed separately. So each VM, each physical server that you'd be monitoring, even network appliances can be brought into this. Each of those would be a node. So a little bit different than how like System Center is licensed on-prem, where it's typically an entire host, but there's no concept of a virtualization host like it's say in Azure. So they went to this per node model so it can be ubiquitous across the board. When you purchase some of these, you also get the rights to System Center, the management licenses for those servers. So for example, Insight Analytics, if you were to purchase that for all of your nodes, you do not have to purchase the additional SCOM license for those servers. So that could be some cost savings there, or added value if you don't already have some of the System Center management licenses already purchased. Now the other thing you can do is there are some suites available that pull everything together, and this is really where the value truly is. The E1 and E2, each one per node includes all of the on-prem System Center management licenses that you would need to run all of the System Center workloads. So if you license a node with OMS, E1 or E2, you can either drop those management licenses that you already purchased, or you just get that added value. What's really great, if you see here on the right side of the OMS E2, you see this, and this is all before discounts. You might get discounts through EA, just to let you know. These are retail prices. E2 is $35 a node, but if you said, hey, I need backup and recovery on my devices, okay, great. Well, if you did backup and site recovery, it's $10 to $25 if you do pay-as-you-go. Or you do this OMS E2, which does require an annual commit for that, and you get everything. You get all of OMS, you get all of System Center for those nodes. So incredible value for that. If you already have System Center, there's some add-ons. So there are pricing. You talk to your account rep with Microsoft to get all the details there. So kind of wrapping up here, this is all well and good, but what can CoreTech do to help? So we've done things like proof of concept steps for each of these workloads, whether it's the logging analytics. A very popular one these days is, like I said, the backup and the site recovery. That one, we have a lot of projects going on that right now. We can help you do some planning of this, pilots to just get it to a little larger amount of servers than just a proof of concept, or full-blown deployment. A lot of times, depending on your organization, there might be some potential Microsoft funding available that us as a Gold Microsoft partner and managed partner we can apply for on your behalf and use to fund, at least partially fund, if not an entire proof of concept, let's say. So those are things that I'm actually specifically work with all of our customers around Microsoft funding and find what works for them. So it's changing constantly, so I have to do that on a customer by customer basis, but I'm always happy to see if there's any funding available. So at this point, I want to see if there's any questions that we might have. Oh, cool. So we do have a question here. Does the automation aspect of OMS integrate or work with System Center Orchestrator, or does it replace it? So I would see it as really a replacement. Working with it, you can run automation from the OMS automation as well as Orchestrator, but they're not going to have any really tight integration with each other and be able to kind of understand what the other side's doing. So I would probably say you might want to start looking at OMS automation as a potential replacement for Orchestrator, because then you don't have to have all that on-prem infrastructure and keeping that up and running. You just have a basic, they call a hybrid worker server, which is a pretty low-level server that doesn't need to do much. There's not a lot to maintain on it. So really, the total cost of ownership goes down. But that's a really great question. It really comes down to start playing with it and seeing what it can do. And I know that you can transition a lot of that out to Azure Automation. So that's good. Another question here is OMS just System Center in the cloud? So yeah, I hear this a lot. So in a way, it kind of is, but I think kind of like what I said earlier is it augments System Center, so it's better together. If you have one, it's great. If you have the other, it's great. But if you have both together and they're working seamlessly, it adds a tremendous amount of value. So if you have System Center investments, that's great. I'd say you continue to use those and augment them with OMS. All right, one last question here is, will this work with other security solutions I own, like a SIEM? That's a great question too. So with the log analytics, basically it can take and ingest any logs into there that are part of that are Ceph format, so common event format. So anything from SIEMs, from network appliances, security appliances, you can pull that all into the same location of all that data in one place, which gives you the value of seeing and correlating all those events in one place. So really adds value to what you already own as well. So it doesn't have to replace something that you already have. Good questions. I think that's all the questions that we have today. All right, so if you'd like to know anything more, if you have any questions, if you want to investigate if there's any funding available for you that we could find for you, let me know. You can also hit up our website. There's a form on there that you can contact us if you want some more information, see all the other solutions that we offer, but beyond just OMS and some of the Microsoft Cloud solutions. There's a lot that we do for customers. So check out our website, hit me up, email, Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot now these days, and LinkedIn. So either way, whatever works for you. So this will be an invite out to kind of the next webinars that we're going to have in this series. I'm thinking this might be the order. Backup recovery is top of mind for a lot of organizations, so I think I want to get that one going first. Log analytics, there's a lot to that, and you can get a lot of value immediately, so I want to go into that, and then get into security and compliance, and then IT automation. So if you already registered for this webinar, you'll get the invites for the rest of these once we get them scheduled, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers if any of these might be interesting to you. And we will have this webinar is being recorded, so we'll be sending out a link to you after this concludes, once we get that uploaded, in case you want to review that later on. But yeah, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Always happy to help. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.